Okay, so I've got 3 of them sewn together, and unlike the other gusset that I did where I put holes in different spots, these are just single holes. I'm putting the holes towards the larger side. It's eighth of an inch. Here is my gusset. I'm putting the holes slightly towards this side of the gusset versus center or this side of the gusset, because I do plan on having a pocket or an envelope here for her to be able to put important papers in, so that's going to be a little bulkier. So what I have here is I found my center using my Tim Holtz ruler. I found my center, and then I went 1.5 inches this way, 1.5 inches this way, and then 1.5 inches again. So I've got a marking at the center, and then at 4.5 and 7.5, and then 3 and 9. And that'll give us our 5 holes that we're going to use for this paper. This is 8, almost 8.5 paper. So, and then these are cut at 8.5. So I'm centering this. Now, this originally was like this, but I sewed it into I wasn't going to tell you, but I thought I really had to. I sewed it into the signature. So yeah, I had to rip it because I wasn't going to take the signature out because it was sewn perfectly. So, so anyway, in actuality, it works out just fine doing it this way. Now you can't see. I don't believe you can see, but this is my score line. There's one at the end of the tip of my left finger and one at the end of the tip of my right finger. I am going to place this paper just inside the line of the 1/8 of an inch, so that I am sewing this signature into the back part, as I said. And now I'm also wanting to center the page, this my tab, my holder. I'm centering that. Okay, and I'm just double checking that I've got it equal on both sides. I'm going to put my pad underneath, and I'm going to use my, since I'm just popping through one hole, one thickness, I don't need my big one. I'm just kind of making it right where it would be right even with where the paper is, where the edge of this paper is, because that's where I would have been poking my hole anyway. And I'm just poking a hole. Just making sure that my let's see, did I scooch up a little bit, or am I okay? Oh, that scooched up a little bit. I'm going to move this over. Yeah, that's good. There we go. Okay, I am actually, it scooched over a little bit, but it's still okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take the 5 sheets that were, so this is a section of my Stamper's Companion that you put this underneath your paper that you're going to stamp on and stamp, and it helps give you a nicer stamped image. I cut off a little section of it, and as you can see, I use it to make my holes with, so that I'm not poking through onto something else. I also have here it is. I also have this, which actually came out of corners of a shipping box. And these are really good and sturdy, but in order to make it long enough, I just took a piece of cardboard and glued the two of them together. I put some glue right there and glue on the back parts of this just to give it so it's nice and long. So I open up my 5 and I want to make sure that I'm pushing the pages into that crease. I want to make sure that I'm straight here. I'm sorry, taking it off camera so I can get a good, okay. And then I'm going to, whoops, put a binder clip on there. And then I'm going to go to this side and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that it's all into that corner. And I'm going to get another binder clip. And I'm going to put it on that side. Okay, now I'm going to put it right down in here. And then again, one more time, I'm going to push it down in there. Now that I'm confident that everything is laying nicely, I'm going to put this right in. You get it here, line it right up and into the crease. Okay. Right down into the crease. Now this part is easier when it's a whole sheet of paper and it comes out the other end and you can squeeze it with that, but it works. So again, I'm getting that right down in there. I'm lining my tip up with the red line, which I think is right into the crease, because you want it right into the score marks of the paper. Hence the reason why we have it open this way, so that you're pushing down through the center of all the score lines that are holding your papers together. And there we go. And I'm going to leave one of them on to help keep them aligned. Now you want to make sure that this is the way it's going to be going. We're going to take, as a rule, and it's still a little much, but you can take about twice the length of your page, and I always add a little something just so. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And then what did I do? Here's my needle. Okay. So we're going to start at the top button, top hole from the back, put it through, and then we're going to find the top hole of our papers. And get that going through. Once you kind of get through a first couple of holes, it works pretty well. Now we're going to leave a tail. There we go. Now we're going to go through this, and that goes right back through. Make sure you want to pull it, but you don't want to pull it so much so you pull your tail out. Now we're going to go through this hole, and it went right through. Like I said, once you start getting a couple of them, it really is a lot easier. And spoke too fast. Okay, so hold on just a second. Okay, so always speak too early. There's that and that. And you just want to kind of make sure you keep the thread where it's running pretty smoothly through these holes so that you can keep it taut. Sorry. Sometimes I make the holes just a smidge too small. There we go. Okay, so now that you've got it this way, I always like to pull it and make sure that I'm actually getting movement and that all of it is in, there's no like twists or anything. So now, because when you go through this hole again, you want to make sure you're not splintering the thread, because if you splinter the thread, that means you're catching it and then you won't be able to tighten anything. Alright, so now let's get this back through here. Usually once you're at this point, you get it pretty easily. But, of course, I'm going to set it right through there. There we go. And I'm making sure that it's pulling. There we go. Come right through here. And then at this point, we've got, I'm taking the needle off, and we're going to tie our knot. And I like to try and keep the thread by the top hole up here. So there we go. I just kind of put my finger around there and twist the string through again and leave my little tails on there and throw the rest of this out. Okay, we can take this little puppy off of here. Now I'll do this again for you, but here you can see that I have my pages, let's see, that they're towards the back of the 1/8 vintage gusset, and the front has got lots of room for embellishments, pockets, whatever I end up putting in there, envelope, whatever. Okay, so we're just going to keep on going here. We'll do another one. Okay, this time I'm going to do it, let's see, find my cheat sheet here. Now I have my 1/8 vintage gusset score lines on either side of my thumb. I'm going to move this, I'm going to center it on my page, and I'm going to move it past. There we go. I'm going to actually put my binder clips on here, and now I can check and make sure that I am evenly matched all the way across, and I am. I'm going to put my little punch board, or whatever you want to call it, underneath, and I'm going to line this up right with the edge, right with this edge of this paper and where the red is. And that's where my hole would be had I still had my other side over here. Okay, so there's that part done. I don't know. Let's see, can you see it here? I think you can see it there where the holes are. Okay. And take my 5 pages. Pinch them together. Make sure you've got the creases lined up and the pages even. Creases lined up. So there's it. And the pages even. There you go. Use my little corner piece. That down in there. Let my there we go. And then I'm going to run this. Let's see. Let's put this like this. Okay. Okay. Now you want to make sure that these, where you've got these, are not, where you've got these binder clips are not keeping you from getting this all lined up correctly. So now once you have it lined up, let me see if I can get this a little closer here. Once you've got this lined up, you're going to line this up and go right into the center of the two ends of the paper, so you're getting it right down into the score marks, the score lines. And there we go. Okay, and I'm going to leave this one on. It helps keep everything together. Now this is the top, or right now what I'm calling the top. So now I'm going to get my needle. And get my thread. Alrighty. I'm going to go through the top hole and find my corresponding top hole in my signature. Leave my, pull through and leave a nice tail. Come down to the next set of holes through both. Don't pull hard enough to pull my tail out. Now go through this hole here and come back up, and then go through this hole here and down we go, and then the last hole. Whoops. Well, I keep falling out of this part. And there is that. This, whatever it takes, take your time, get it through. I'm getting one at a time here. There's that. There we go. Okay. Now, there we go. We're going to go back through this, making sure again that we're not catching the thread and that everything's nice and snug down through this hole, not catching. Okay, now that one I split the thread, so I want to move it out of my way. There we go. Make sure. Okay. Pull this end here. Good. Okay. So we're going to do this again. Now I'm pulling this way because I was sewing this way. I'm pulling this way is because I don't want to pull down and tear the hole. So you always want to kind of pay attention to which way you're pulling on things. And when you're here, you don't want to be pulling it too tight because then what you're going to be doing is pulling on these holes. So I get it tight enough, quite snug, and get it back through. And there we go. Nice little good, a good little knot in there. And you can do it 2 or 3 times, whatever you think. Leave yourself about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of tail. And there you go. Oh, let's get this off. So now you want to go ahead and get through all 6 of these, or however many you're putting in your book, and then we'll come back to it and work on it again. Work on the next part. And I just realized I had that all really tight, so hopefully I stayed in. Hopefully I stayed in camera. I'm sorry if I didn't. Well, you may not see this if I didn't, because that's very irritating. All right, thanks guys. In a little while, get them all done, and we'll be back.